What's your stream preaching, baby? Bless the Lord. Yes, sir. Man, welcome back to another double RBT Tuesday. Man, what is your stream preaching? Come on. Yes, indeed. Let me see real quick, man. Yeah, how y'all feeling? How y'all doing? There's accountability, what you upload. People sick mentally, spiritually bleeding out, and your platform might be the thing they some stream lust, some stream drama, some stream violence, confusion, that's what we ain't gonna worry about that, not today. But your stream preaching, man, today is double RBT Tuesdays. Yeah. How about that? Bless the Lord. Man, y'all come on in. I told you, man, we are taking off. Really hope y'all feeling good, feeling blessed, you know what I'm saying? We building a station up over here, man, and we got some things going on. You don't want to miss it. Submit your music, testimony, revelation. Blues, reds, different styles, same foundation. Still shouting God in the middle of innovation. Cause the spirit's still moving through creation. Bless them, Lord, that internet, real estate, digital property, ownership, build a gate. Everybody online, but they moving too late. Still renting attention instead of building a space. Mainline Music Academy on school. Teach creators how to build and use tools. Gotta use these tools, man. Double RBT Tuesdays, what's up, y'all? I really hope y'all been enjoying this content, man, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Let me pause this real quick. Hey, I really hope y'all been enjoying this content because I promise you guys, I have been having a ball making it. It's been so much fun. Hey, look it. I read a chat today, and test today said, y'all not having enough fun, man. What's your stream preaching?
Not just emotional movements every season. Broadcast with purpose for spiritual reasons. Cause somebody out there is preaching. What your stream preaching? What your page feeding? What your page feeding? What your content doing when they can receive it? Mainline flow, what the kingdom still needs.
Double RBT Tuesdays, man. Bless the Lord. Come on.
Bless him, Lord, movement.
Yes, indeed.
I'm still breathing.
What's your stream preaching? Oh man, welcome back to another episode, man, of Double RBT Tuesday, man. We are now on episode 9. We are on episode 9, man, you know, speaking, about things pertaining to ABA, you know, and if you guys been seeing how I've been doing my content, layering it, putting, more on, start off with character. First character we started off with was Little Johnny, and after Little Johnny, I think we brought in Isabella, and then from Isabella, we ended up bringing, on Lil Rambo, and I need one more character, I promise you guys, and I've been thinking about it, and eventually, the goal is for, as we begin to grow into an established community of culture, you guys will be able to bring characters also into the feed, into the clinic, into the algorithm, into this production, that we're doing, being culture, but today is gonna be, interesting stream because we gonna pretty much much talk about, giving a rundown, instead of where we've been, what we've been doing, up to this point, what we have covered. You know what I'm saying? We have covered 8 episodes together already. We have covered 8 episodes already together, and every Tuesday, hey, we're building something bigger than content, and I need you guys to understand that. We're building culture. That's what we're building. We're building culture. That's what we're building. We're building double RBT culture. That's exactly what we're building, and just to give you guys, a quick briefing of some of the content, that we have been doing right now. It's been episode 1. It was the clinic versus in-home therapy. That was episode 1. The clinic versus in-home therapy. Episode 2, we was teaching toleration. Episode 2, we was teaching toleration up in the clinic. How do we, teach toleration? Some of the things that we have to do, some of the antecedents that we have to use, some of the extension processes that we have to use. Being RBTs, episode 3, giving learners time to process. Sometimes, we have to learn patience, because sometimes our learners have other things that's going on in their head, and we don't quite understand if they're actually processing our SDs in that moment, in that time. So episode 3 was giving learners time to process. Episode 4, when culture walks into the clinic, man, we talking about different ethical background, different people, of things, how they're raised in culture, but how we have to do it from a clinical mindset. That was a good one, y'all. There's so many more to come. Well, episode 5 was talking about in the clinic stories, just things that, pertaining to, in the clinic, in the clinic, different behaviors that you may see in the clinic, and this was not just pertaining to the kiddos, the learners. This also was pertaining to the RBTs, and then, which we would call them being culture tadpoles, some of the frog masters, some of the tadpoles, episode 6, we was talking about building the double RBT community. That's what this is. This is what we're doing. This is what we're cultivating right now. We are building the community, and I need you guys to say, hey, look it. This is going to be a fun engagement once we start doing this, because especially those of you guys, parents, that are passionate about your children, RBTs who are passionate about being, registered behavior technicians, and of course, the frog masters, the BCBAs who are passionate about writing the intervention plans, to help the kiddos and learners become more independent, in their daily lives, teaching that functional communication, SCTs. Episode 7, beautiful. Episode 7, learning Little Johnny. Episode 7, we was learning through Little Johnny. We talking about Little Johnny means business. Little Johnny, he means business. Of course, up in this, I like to bring more humor to it, because this is what keeps it, where there's no ethical concerns, no ethical clauses, where, we can, teach this that, I have attained a master's in ABA in special education, so I ain't gonna say, obviously I'm not a doctor, but I have some insight, so I'm sharing, I'm teaching this, in my way, that I feel, can be relatable, and as we grow into the community, then, we all can kind of bounce ideas up off each other. And then number 8, episode 8, learning through Isabella. Yeah, learning through Isabella. Somebody who's quiet. Somebody who's very attentive and processing. kiddos, their minds, they're working. We have to look at that. You know, their minds are working. You know, we have to be very, attentive to that to understand that. Yes, their minds is working. So, real quick, right? Let me go ahead and go here real quick. Just put out there our mission. What our mission is, as we're developing the double RBT culture, the double RBT community, the riches. When we say the double RBT, that's acronym for the richest registered behavior technician. And listen, and I'm not saying this lightly, I'm saying this because of how, when this began to process, it begins to function, I began to, put this thing together exactly what I meant, it from the heart, the motive, the intent. So when I say we're not talking about rich in money, we're literally talking about rich in knowledge. How passionate are you? How compassionate are you about this? Being rich in professionalism, being rich in leadership. Whether you're a tadpole, whether you're a tree frog, a bullfrog, or a frog master, welcome to the double RBT community where we are building culture. You are welcome. There is a place for you, and like I said, definitely want to do a little bit something different today, giving that recap. That's what we was talking about, actually giving that recap, of what's actually been taking place through some of these drills. And I'm telling you guys, it's so many. We're only at the beginning. It's so much more to come. In this, is so much more to come in this. Yeah. So definitely stay tuned. Right there. And then real quick, and let's take time, man. And call to action, man. If you guys has been rocking with me, if you guys, right now, no matter, look at what time you chime in into this conversation, call to action, man. Your input, your rebuttal, your replies, like all I like to say, being funny. Look at your 2 cents, it matters. You know what I'm saying? Your 2 cents is golden here, okay? I want everybody in the comments, man, to answer this. This is what I want to know right now, right? Because before I even ask the question, I'm going to give you my answer. I'm going to give you my answer about me on my journey of being an RBT, right? So, as I begin to be groomed and grow, any BCBA, anybody who has worked with me, they have all known and have met me where I have told them still to this moment, still to this day, hey, look, before I even really even thinking about becoming a BCBA, a frog master, I want to be a good RBT. I want to be a good RBT. So the question is, what has been some of your biggest lessons as an RBT? Was it pairing? What was some of your biggest lessons as an RBT? Was it learning how to communicate? Because there's different things that factor into this. Was it learning to work with different families? Was it learning to work with different families? Was it learning to stay calm during different challenges, different challenges of behavior? These things is very important. What was some of your biggest lessons as you were being groomed and you've been developed into becoming the richest RBT that you potentially could be before, because you gotta think about it. Think about this, right? Think about this. Before you go to the next level, you have to reach a level of completion where now you're going to the next level. So once you begin to reach that level, and that's what I say, everybody is going to be different. Some people want to make it there a little bit faster than the others, but then your process and your time in this is your process and in your time, and enjoy your journey of being cultivated to go to that next level of obtaining that level of responsibility. What was your biggest lesson as an RBT? Because Some of the best RBTs, look at, we never stop learning. You know, we're always asking questions. Look at, we can always admit our mistakes. You know, certainly key on the floor, whatever, making sure that we support one another, making sure that we support one another, making sure that we support one another. You know, every learner teaches us something too. You gotta understand that each and every time you're into a session, you're being very observant in what's going on. These learners are teaching us, you know, because they're communicating to us in their way of communication, and they're teaching us as they're beginning to become a little bit more familiar and trusting, and they're opening up to us. We're learning them. We're learning their language as we're teaching them functional communication, you know? So if you're a BCBA, question for you guys, look at, or you've been doing this for years, what advice would you give someone who's in their first month? First month. If you're a BCBA, good question. What advice would you give somebody if they're just in their first month? Remember, somebody had to help us as well. Somebody had to pass on that, you know, level of encouragement, you know, being aspiring to us, you know, about being registered behavior technician, where we're now cultivating, become the richest registered behavior technicians. All right, so real quick, let's do this, right? So this is, you know, why I've created the RBT Tuesdays, you know, community, the community build, but to create a place where we can all grow together, a place where new RBTs don't feel embarrassed to ask questions, where experienced clinicians, right, where they enjoy. Listen, this is important. I'm talking to those who have that clinical advice where you guys enjoy. Come on, nobody wants to come to the workplace like, oh, I don't really want to be here. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? You know, so, you know, where, you know, experienced, you know, clinicians, they actually enjoy, you know, mentoring, you know, so obviously, since we're talking about community, this is also a place, you know, where families can learn our culture, because sometimes families, believe it or not, we're not talking about, because, you know, as a culture, as we grow and as we expand, we're not talking about what's going on from the kiddos that we're working with, you know, with BIFCA. We know things are confidential, things are ethically, you know, protected. You know what I'm saying? But we are talking about some of the ways that we think, you know, as RBTs, some of the ways that you guys think, you know, and this is as a collective, as a whole, where we have a platform, where we have a place where we can mesh some of these things. Now, we're not talking about, you know, this is not a place where interventions are being written, because that's can only be done through the BCBAs. That's it. They're the only ones who can give, you know, that intervention of what's going to work best for your child using data-driven decisions to do so. All right, come on. So let's make sure that we understand that, right? This is a place also, you know, talk about community where students preparing for certification can feel supported. Yes, it's important. A place where students who are prepared for certification, they can actually feel supported. We're building more than content. We are building culture, y'all. The richest registered behavior technician culture, right? Can I get a ribbon? Can I get a ribbon in a chat? Ribbon. So look at, man, in closing, right before I leave, let's go here. I want to ask everyone, you know, watching. I want to ask everybody who's watching this one question, right? I want to reiterate this to you guys. I want to ask this one question, and I want you guys to really hone in on this and take this serious and think about it and assess yourself in this, because it's a lot of work. Becoming the richest registered behavior technician, it is a lot of work. Because you gotta be very observant, very diligent, very patient, very patience is one of the biggest ones, but loving and caring, yes, for these minds that we're dealing with. So my question to you guys is, what kind of RBT do you want to become? That's my question. What kind of RBT do you want to become? I'm not asking what type of credentials do you want. I'm not asking you, where would you like to work? I'm not asking you that. But I'm asking, what kind of impact do you want to leave on the learners and families that you serve? Keyword, this is what I'm saying. It's a service, you guys. It's a service. So, if this community, if it has helped you, please make sure that you guys invite another RBT next Tuesday to our discussions, all right? Make sure that you guys share the stream. Make sure that you follow Mainline Radio. And let's continue building, man, the richest registered behavior technicians. Make sure we're doing this one hop at a time. Man, I'll see you guys next Tuesday, man. Y'all stay good, stay blessed, man. And look at, also right here, make sure that this channel on YouTube is being built. You know what I mean? Look at, it's not too much that you can see on there right now, but this channel is actually, it's being built. The channel is being built, and I need you guys to understand that channel is being built. It's being built, so I've been, a lot of the reels I've been making, I've been posting to my own personal page. I am, posting them on here too, but you can see there's no subscribers here. But on TikTok's been going wild. TikTok has been going wild. YouTube has been going crazy. Facebook, man, y'all been going crazy. But once we get it right here on our channel, this is our channel right here. This is, the RBT, culture, the channel that we are actually building everything together. So make sure that you guys invite somebody. And with that being said, y'all stay good, stay blessed, man. That does conclude our discussion for our WRBT Tuesdays. Yay, until next Tuesday.